Welcome to the pregnancy Q&A. I am sitting on my exercise ball in the living room because it's how I'm most comfortable these days. All right, pulling up your questions. If you guys are just stumbling across, my name is Maddie. I am 26-ish weeks pregnant by the time this goes up, maybe closer to 27. So I'm almost in my third trimester. This is my first pregnancy, and I am super excited to share some questions and answers with you guys today. So let's get started. Has it been hard not having your family nearby during your pregnancy / when baby comes? Yes, it's been extremely hard. I feel, especially the first trimester, I could do a whole video just on that. If you want to go back and watch my first trimester vlog, you can. I was a hot mess. I really missed my family. I was super sick, which didn't help. Was really homesick and missed my mom and my sister more, and my dad and brother more than I thought I would, and it was really hard. However, I will say now in the second trimester I've been able to travel to see them a bunch and spend a lot of time with them through my pregnancy, so that's been a huge blessing. And just a little tidbit, we might live near family when this baby comes. Spoiler alert. We might not, but I'll just leave that as a cliffhanger for now. What is pregnancy actually like? Do you feel like a baby growing, or does it feel like bloat? At first, definitely feels like you just have a bloated stomach. I remember feeling, that was one of my first symptoms actually, was feeling extremely bloated and uncomfortable. And that probably lasted for the first like 8-ish weeks. Once you have your first ultrasound, which we had at 12 weeks, I think, that's when it starts to feel more like there's an actual baby in there, and your bump starts to get bigger and you actually start to see the baby that's growing inside of you. And then obviously the turning point for me was 19 weeks. I started to feel the quickening, or the little flutters and kicks. And by 20 weeks, she was like fully kicking and moving around in my tummy, and now she's like super active. So I would say it transitions from feeling bloated and just like you're gaining weight and carrying something in your stomach to actually growing a human life in your tummy. Okay, in a perfect world, what is your birth like? Oh, I love that question. In a perfect world, my birth will be very spiritual. It'll be emotional. It will be filled with love and tears and laughter and all the human emotions basically. And it will result in a healthy baby and me being healthy. That is literally all I care about in a perfect world. I think that people can really get hung up on the birth plan, and which is great, don't get me wrong, you have to have one going in, but I am in the mindset of knowing the healthcare side, kind of knowing what measures I want to try to take to protect my body and, you know, make it the best experience for me as well as for the baby and for Ryan. But I just know what my interventions are, what my options are. I've educated myself a ton, and I'm okay with anything as long as my baby is healthy and I'm healthy. It's really all I care about. Okay, lots of questions about how long we were trying before we got a positive test. I know a lot of people get weird about this question, and I don't really know why people don't feel like they can answer it honestly. If you guys are asking me, I'm going to tell you honestly. We tried for 2 months. However, I will preface that by saying, if you guys follow on Instagram or you've been here for a while, I did have an IUD fiasco where when I went to get my IUD taken out in July, one of the arms got left behind in the clinic. She pulled it out and one of the arms wasn't there. So I had to actually undergo a surgery, a hysteroscopy, DNC, to get the arm of my copper IUD removed. And because of that, my OB said I would be extremely fertile, but I couldn't do anything vaginally. Like I couldn't have anything up in there, including sex, for at least 14 days after that happened. So we obviously waited that time. I had a full normal cycle, and then we started well, I guess we kind of started trying that first cycle after the 2 weeks was up. And then for that next cycle, I think I just was extremely fertile because she literally like, think of like my uterus was like a blank canvas because she had just like cleaned it out. It was like all perfectly ready for a baby. So thank the Lord above. And we were praying constantly through this whole thing, but we did not struggle to get pregnant. And I know a lot of people do, and it's a sensitive subject, and my heart goes out to anybody who is struggling with it. I've had best friends where it took them a year, close to a year and a half. I've had lots of other friends that it happened really quick. So everybody, every person, every situation, every couple is different, and that's what I'm gonna say about that. Did you have a feeling you were pregnant before the positive test result / missed period? Yes. Okay, when I say I didn't really believe in manifestation much until this pregnancy, I truly didn't, but I manifested this, you guys, and obviously it's God's plan. So he's the one that ultimately created this life and the timing of which it happened. However, I was manifesting so hard. We were going to Vancouver for our anniversary. I had not gotten pregnant that first cycle after my surgery, and I was just like, oh, how amazing would it be if, you know, we found out we were pregnant close to our 1-year wedding anniversary. And it just happened to line up to where my ovulation would have lined up to like the positive test being a possibility near / around our anniversary. So I just prayed and hoped and dreamed, obviously, that was gonna happen, and somehow it did. So I did know the symptoms I was having, like I already stated, but the symptoms I was having was extreme bloating. We had gone to Texas to visit some of our best friends, go to the TCU-CU game. I remember just feeling like I didn't really want to drink. I was so bloated. I would eat anything and my stomach would just blow up, but it was like that uncomfortable where you feel like you have a balloon in your tummy. And I was like, wow, this is weird. This doesn't usually happen. And then I knew like a test wouldn't show anything for at least another week and a half, so I waited. And then when we were in Vancouver for our anniversary trip, I took a test, and that's when it was positive. Were you guys actively trying, or it wasn't planned? We, like I said, I had taken out my IUD. We were on the same page as far as we were going to start trying within those like 2 months after getting my IUD removed. And then we moved to Seattle, and we just kind of, we didn't even really have a conversation around it. We just kind of started not trying. And then after that first month of not getting pregnant, that's when we started like actively trying. Okay, how did you kick the nausea? Zofran apparently is controversial. So yes, I would say Zofran is controversial. I would 100% say talk to your OB about any interventions you want to take as far as medications go, because there are so many different options out there. Arnold Palmer. And it's honestly up to each person's discretion what you do during your pregnancy. Some people go all the way to this side and eat raw fish and all the sushi and the lunch meat and take all the meds and all the things, and then there's people way on the other side of the end of the spectrum that don't do anything. So I think you really just need to do what feels right for your body. I think once I became pregnant, I was so much more aware of everything I consume, ingest, put on my body. Just all of that becomes so much more clear, because it's not just you anymore. Like, your body becomes a house for your baby, and it's not really yours anymore. So I think when it comes to the Zofran discussion, I to this day still have not taken Zofran. I cannot sit here and say that in my next pregnancy I won't. I think I would highly consider taking Zofran in my next pregnancy, but because this was my first, I did everything I could that I knew was safe, like without a shadow of a doubt, to not harm my baby. And again, to each their own. I know so many of my friends took Zofran when they like absolutely needed it, and their babies turned out perfectly healthy and amazing in every way. So it's honestly personal preference. The one thing that helped me, and honestly there wasn't a lot, like for that month and a little bit, I just had to tough it out. Like I just was throwing up every day. I was throwing up at work. I was throwing up at home, and I had constant nausea, but once it was gone for me. So that was my experience. At 10 weeks, I woke up and felt like a new woman, and I didn't have the nausea anymore. So I think it's different for everybody, but the few things I did do was Duxalamine, Unisom Duxalamine at night seemed to somewhat help, and fruit in the mornings, sour candies, fruity gum, but not a lot helped, to be honest. Do we have a name picked out? Okay, we have 3 names picked out. Actually, one of the names we've had for over a year. The second one we've had for the whole pregnancy. The third one has just kind of come into the picture in like the last, sorry, that's probably really distracting, me moving on my ball. The third one just came into the picture a couple months ago, and I am obsessed with it, but Ryan is unsure. So we've been saying 2 of the names the whole time and like calling her, like switching off between the 2. And then this third one came into the picture, and I'm obsessed with it, and I'm obsessed with the nickname too. So, but it's a different vibe than the other 2 names, if that makes sense. So I think that's what's taking Ryan like more time to comprehend it. But TBD, I'm sure we'll share our names after. I love those videos where it's like names we loved but didn't use. So I'll let you guys know if we're gonna do that. But I think we're gonna be the parents that pick her name like the day she's born. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. If not, then it's gonna be really close to when she's born before I think we actually decide. But TBD, we'll let you guys know. Okay, someone asked, do you ever get sciatica pain? Oh my goodness, I have had so much of that lately. And if you guys, again, if you follow along on Instagram, I've had a whole journey with my back over the last, let's see, 15 years. I had bulging discs when I was a dancer. I think from just life and my anatomy, my back has not always been the best. I've been very pleasantly surprised, knock on wood, with how my back has held up during this pregnancy. I think what's helped me is that your muscles actually relax a lot during pregnancy, and your ligaments and everything kind of start to soften in preparation for your body to be stretched in that way to like get the baby out. So I think that's helped, but I definitely get sciatica, especially down my right side. I posted a video on Instagram that that you guys can reference if you want, but there's also a lot of good accounts. Maybe I'll put some down below in the description box of like prenatal fitness girlies on Insta that post so much good stuff about like helping with that. So that's what I've been doing. I've been doing some prenatal yoga, a little bit of Pilates here and there, and a little bit of weightlifting. But most days I go for a 2-mile walk with Ryan and Chip, and that's what I do to get exercise, and it seems to be doing enough for me. And then I do like a little bit of stretching or the like SI joint exercises. And now that I have the exercise ball, I've been doing lots of just like bouncing, hip circles, modified cat-cows, and like glute stretches. So that's what's been helping me. Lots of people asking about what my birth plan is gonna be. And again, I think this is something we'll keep mostly to ourselves, but I will say, I already kind of touched on it a little bit. We are hoping for as natural of a birth as possible, just because ideally I want to have that experience with her, and especially since it's my first time. But I think we've decided that Ryan is going to be my like main support person. We want it to just be us, and then I think I'm gonna have my mom there and kind of do the birth prep with us, like the birth videos and stuff that we've been using to prep. I'm going to have her watch it and be there as like kind of a doula or extra support person when Ryan needs breaks. But for the most part, we just want it to be intimate, very like God focused and spiritual, with worship music and dim lighting, and have it be the most like intimate and special that we can. But we are having our baby at the hospital, and we are not against hospital births, that's for sure. And obviously as a nurse, I believe in medicine as well. So I am not opposed to the epidural. I'm not opposed to interventions if it's gonna keep me and my baby safe. So That's what I'll say about our birth plan. Someone asked, is pregnancy what you expected it to be? I feel like this is such a loaded question because at first it was absolutely not what I expected. I was so sick and down and felt so lonely and scared and anxious and really homesick and just did not feel good. And I was like, wow, why do more people not talk about this? Like, I did not feel prepared for what the first trimester of pregnancy was for me personally. However, now I will say, until you experience it, you just I don't really think you can have any expectations. But now in the second trimester, having more energy, feeling more like myself, my skin has cleared up. I just like enjoy doing the things that I used to do pre-pregnancy. I am able to do more physically. Like I think this is kind of more what I expected of pregnancy, is like, of course I knew it was going to be hard and challenging and beautiful and emotional and all the things. So I would say, yeah, second trimester so far, it's been what I expected it to be. Okay, lots of questions on what is on our registry. I think I'm going to maybe do a dedicated video on that because that is a whole thing in itself. It took me so long and I still am making edits, and our shower is in, let's see, our baby shower is in a little over a month, but yeah, I'm still making changes to it. The first thing I did was I messaged 3 friends that have kids, 1 really recently and then 2 that like have had their kids for at least a year or over that, and just asked them to send me their registry, or actually one was my cousin. I sent them a whole list of things that like I had questions about, and then they were really in depth and sent me information back. So from my experience, other moms are super willing to help you and to share their opinions because they've been through it. So if there's anyone you trust, I would suggest doing that. However, I am happy to post my registry for you guys if you want. Again, the way we do things, or the things that we want for our kid, I'll report back on if they all are like the things I would buy again. I'm sure this will change so much for like between now and our next pregnancy, whenever that is. So yeah, I will either do a dedicated video on it. If you guys are interested, comment below and I can definitely do that, kind of walking you through what I picked and why, or I can just post my registry link for you guys and you can just kind of pick and choose what you want from it. Best pregnancy pillow, the Baby Bub is the only pregnancy pillow that I have so far. I think I only really used it, which is interesting. I stopped using it a couple months ago. I used it from probably week 13 till 22-ish. So I definitely got use out of it. It's the one that has like a little pillow in the front, a little pillow in the back, and then like another little pillow that you can kind of wedge under your belly. I'll post a photo of it. It was great. The thing I didn't like is because I toss and turn so much throughout the night, I would start to feel like claustrophobic because you have these 2 little pillows like next to you when you're shifting in bed. So now I sleep with like 4 pillows, just like regular king size pillows that we've had. So can't say I'm like the biggest proponent for pregnancy pillows, but I also haven't tried like the really big U ones or anything like that. I know some people really love that. Someone said, are you planning on breastfeeding? I 100% plan on breastfeeding. I plan on breastfeeding exclusively, but again, I am not like putting any sort of pressure on myself or on baby girl to be perfect in anything. I just am like gonna roll with the punches and hope and pray that we have a great experience with breastfeeding. I've always dreamed of that. So it would really suck if it doesn't work out, but there's just so many factors, and I just, again, want a healthy, happy baby. So I'm gonna do everything I can to learn and do the prep work to be knowledgeable about breastfeeding and kind of all the tips and tricks that I can, and have Ryan and my mom do the same so they can obviously help like remind me in the immediate postpartum period. But again, I'm not above formula if that's what she needs. So throwing that out there now, but ideally, yes, breastfeeding all the way. Any and all recommendations for nursery setup / organization. Okay, so you guys don't need our whole life story, but basically in our house currently, our only guest room is Ryan's office and the guest room. We are planning on switching that around and making room for her if we stay in this house. We just might not be staying in this house. And I know that's not a lot of information, but I have not started on nursery organization setup at all yet because of that. Once I do, I will gladly let you guys know. But for the immediate time being, at 27, almost 27 weeks, I have not done a thing for her nursery. So we've obviously gotten some things and we've had some things come in from the registry, but we have not done any organizing or setup yet. So stay tuned on that. Okay, I think that is most of the questions. If there's anything that you guys are still curious about that I didn't cover, definitely comment it down below. I'm trying to just be a super open book because I feel like why keep stuff a secret when other moms could benefit from it? So that is my goal. Hopefully this helped some of you. And again, if you have more questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below and I will try to get back to all of you. I love you guys. I will see you in the 3rd trimester. Also, I'll link my ball down below if you guys care, but here's a little bump date.